Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of worry, stress, or tension to leave your body in your outward breath. Slowly but surely, breathing in a feeling of resourcefulness, exhaling a feeling of tension, enables you, breath by breath, to gradually feel deeper and deeper relaxed. I want you to scan your body, almost like a science fiction film with lasers checking your body for where tension exists for you. Perhaps that tension is around the eyes, the forehead, maybe the jaw or the neck or the shoulders. But as you imagine breathing in this resourceful feeling of relaxation, I want you to imagine you give that feeling a color, maybe a bright color like yellow or orange. So as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, imagine that bright yellow or orange color going in through your nose and filling your body with that bright, vibrant color of relaxation and resourcefulness. But imagine that it's melting away those feelings of tension, maybe around the chest, the neck, the jaw, or the eyes. And as you exhale, you use the power of your imagination to imagine a darker, grayish color leaving your body. So a bright, vibrant color like yellow or orange is going in, and something gray or dark is leaving your body, representing any stress, any anxiety, any tension that is gradually leaving your body. That's it. I want you to imagine that as your body relaxes, that your imagination awakens. And your imagination is an engine of thought. Your memories require imagination. Your plans for the future require imagination. In order to feel excited, you need an imagination. In order to feel nostalgic, you need an imagination. So I want you to remember, perhaps, an old photo of what you looked like, perhaps at 9 or 10 years old. Maybe it's a photo in a picture frame, maybe in an album, or just get a sense of what you looked like back then. And I want you to get a sense of all the possibility that existed within you. And as you look at that photo, I want you to remember where you were living, perhaps the family members that you used to visit. And I want you to imagine stepping into that version of you, to feel what it would feel like to be 9 or 10 years old. Perhaps you can imagine being at a house where you see a magazine for children. Imagine flicking through the pages and then seeing an advert for X-ray glasses, giving you a superpower. You could see through walls, see through clothes. You could see through anything. And imagine being 9 or 10 years old and looking at that X-ray glasses advert and feeling a sense of how much excitement, how many wonderful experiences, and how much fun you would have by getting those glasses. And I want you to imagine there were sufficient levels of excitement and motivation to perhaps send some money away to get those glasses. And maybe it took a week or so until they arrived. And I want you to imagine you're back in your childhood home, relaxing perhaps on a sofa or a bed, And just imagine that you're making yourself very comfortable as I count down from 10 to 1, with each descending number enabling you to go deeper and deeper relaxed. 10, just releasing any tension around the eyebrows, eyelids, around the eyes. Just letting that go. 9. Those muscles in your forehead responsible for facial expressions like surprise or intrigue. It's time to release that tension in your forehead. That's it. 9. Deeper and deeper relaxed as that feeling of relaxation now spreads down into your cheeks, into your jaw. If your lips are touching or teeth are touching, there is more tension than is necessary there in your jaw. So as you breathe in through your nose, you can release that. And just releasing the tension in your jaw enables you to feel immediately more relaxed. As you breathe in and breathe out, the 8 goes to 7. And just imagine that any tension around your neck and your chest that's responsible for breathing, that can be released, enabling you to breathe lower than your chest into your diaphragm and feel like the shackles of your breathing have been released, enabling you to breathe deeper and longer, freer, requiring no effort to take long, deep breaths. That's it. 7 goes to 6, and just allow a feeling of relaxation to spread around your neck and your shoulders as you can imagine what it would be like for your head just to float there on your body, not needing any tension in your neck and your shoulders. Continuing to breathe in that bright color of resourceful relaxation, exhaling tension, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. That's right. Feel that sensation of relaxation going down into your arms feeling limp, loose, so relaxed, almost like the limbs of a puppet without any strings. That's it. 6 goes to 5, even your internal organs are relaxing. Heart relaxes, lungs relax, stomach relaxes. Your diaphragm, that muscle responsible for hiccups, allow that muscle to relax, enabling you to breathe even deeper. That's it. Allow that relaxation to go into your gut. That's it. The source of anxiety is there in the gut, like a twisting sensation, and just enable that to be released now, releasing any tension there in the gut. As 4, that relaxation goes into the legs. Legs like the arms. Puppet's limbs without any strings, just limp, loose, heavy, feeling so relaxed. That's it. 4 and then 3. And just imagine your fingers and toes also become relaxed. Breathing in deeply, exhaling deeply, going deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. 2 and then 1. And then I want you to imagine that your physical body is still there on that sofa or bed, but you wake up at your current age in the same house. And you can see yourself lying there, fast asleep, lifting up your arm, letting go as it just falls back, limp, loose, right by your side. And imagine you can hear a noise at the letterbox. Imagine going down to the letterbox and you see a small parcel and you have a wonderful feeling of excitement. These X-ray glasses have finally arrived. I want you to get a sense that your expectations were high, but then when you tried on those X-ray glasses, reality struck. And the reality that struck was that they didn't do what you thought they would do. Maybe you wore them and you looked into a wall hoping for Superman levels of X-ray abilities. And I want you to really feel that sense of disappointment that something didn't live up to its expectation. And how quickly did it take for you to stop using those X-ray glasses? Maybe minutes, maybe hours, Once you made the evaluation, even as a 9 or 10-year-old child, that it didn't do what it was meant to do, you stopped using them. And I want you to tap into that pragmatic ability to make a new choice based on information. Is it doing what it's meant to do? I want you to fast forward in your life, but keep hold of that idea that anything that fails to deliver on its promise makes sense to no longer do that thing. I want you to imagine how ridiculous it would have been as a 10-year-old to keep wearing those X-ray glasses for years and years, even though they failed to deliver on their promise. And I want you to go fast forward in life to when you first started drinking maybe your very first beer. And back then, beer was maybe off limits, something that represented a transition from being a child or a teenager into an adult. I want you to get a sense that beer promised so much. And maybe it was all the things that it was meant to give you: social confidence, fun, excitement, relaxation. But I want you to think of all those times that it not only failed to deliver on that promise, but gave you something else entirely. Maybe the hangovers, maybe the poor decision making, maybe it influenced you to be more aggressive or argumentative than you normally would have been. I want you to get a growing sense that just like those X-ray glasses, beer has failed to deliver on its promises. That it is taking more than it's giving. And now as an adult, you can remember that advert for the X-ray glasses and laugh, because it's so ludicrous what it promises and what it actually delivered. But I want you to think of those TV commercials for beer and start looking at them through exactly the same lens as those X-ray glasses. They promise so much fun, so much significance, so much. And yet what do they deliver? Beer tends to have the impact of having less and less impact the more that you drink. And therefore more is required to do even less than it did before. And I want you to get to that same conclusion that you got perhaps when you were 10 years old. That if something doesn't do what it's meant to do, and instead it takes away from you, why continue to do that thing? And I want you to imagine there is a domino effect in your life, perhaps on a Friday afternoon or evening. And I want you to imagine seeing yourself do a different routine. Maybe see yourself returning from work, but rather than going to the fridge and getting that beer, I want you to imagine seeing yourself that the very first thing you do perhaps is take a shower. Feel like you're washing away the work version of yourself and awakening that social home version of you. I want you to imagine that you're getting dressed in clothes that you would never wear at work, firmly positioning and communicating to yourself that you are now in that home non-work mode. I want you to get a sense that you then go down to the kitchen, and I want you to imagine there is a bottle of refrigerated water. I want you to imagine pouring that water the same way you would pour that beer into exactly the same type of glass. And imagine drinking that cool water in exactly the same speed and rhythm and way that you would drink that very first beer on a Friday night. And I want you to get a sense that after that first large glass of water, you already start to feel more relaxed. You feel more comfortable, but also you feel that you're able to enjoy your time more because alcohol isn't involved. I want you to imagine that there is a secret door, perhaps connected to your kitchen, that you've never seen before, that takes you into a part of your subconscious mind, perhaps a bright white room, completely empty, with just a chair. Imagine sitting in that chair, feeling relaxed, being open-minded to new suggestions about how to think about alcohol and the role that alcohol has in your life. I want you to imagine that you can discover a deep sense of freedom in having an alcohol-free life. Imagine how good it would feel to no longer feel the need to turn to alcohol as a way to cope with stress or difficult emotions. Just imagine that your body and mind embrace the idea that relaxation can be achieved through healthier means than alcohol. How good would it feel if you could easily release any attachment to alcohol, knowing that it no longer serves your desired quality of life? As you breathe in and breathe out, accept that there are already alternative tools that you can use. Tai Chi can become a source of tranquility, helping you find that inner peace without the need for alcohol. And that drinking cool water revitalizes your senses, leaving you refreshed and invigorated. And what if, by cooking, you activate a different part of yourself that also makes you feel relaxed? As you immerse yourself in the act of cooking, you find joy and fulfillment that alcohol could just never provide. You discover that changing your clothes and having a shower can instantly shift your mood, leaving you feeling renewed and positive. And I wonder what would happen when you totally trust in your ability to face challenges without the crutch of alcohol, knowing that you are strong and capable. And as you start to think about that future, the thought of living without alcohol excites you as you embrace the idea of a healthier, happier lifestyle. And the domino effect that's working against you could easily work for you as you improve your relationship with alcohol. It then increases the motivation to improve the quality of food that you eat, which could then lead to having more time and desire for more physical activities like sport and exercise. It feels good to finally realize that alcohol only masks emotions temporarily, whereas healthier coping strategies truly give you that lasting fulfillment. I want you to perceive alcohol as the X-ray glasses of coping strategies and alternatives of things that actually work. You feel empowered to create new rituals and habits that do not involve alcohol, enhancing your overall well-being. And as you do that, your self-confidence soars as you maintain your commitment to an alcohol-free lifestyle. And what would happen the moment that you discover a newfound appreciation for life's experiences? Because you can't truly appreciate these experiences through the lens of alcohol. But when you appreciate them fully without the need for alcohol, you've stepped up, progressing to the next level in your life. Your body and mind become more aligned as you embrace a life free from the harmful effects of alcohol. And you feel a deep sense of contentment and relaxation within yourself, independent of alcohol, to the extent that in the future you will see other people that say things like, "I really need a drink, I really need a beer." And you will feel a wave of gratitude wash over you that you don't need that. That your relaxation and gratitude come from other sources. Because you're able to take pride in your ability to make choices that align with your values and contribute to your personal growth. And what you tend to find is that you can't make an improvement in one area of your life without creating a desire for further improvements. I want you to recall the last time that you've renovated just one room of your house. And maybe that renovation to that one room looks so good that every other room in your house now seem to not look quite as good. Remember that feeling of motivation that doing one thing very well created a desire to improve other areas. When you improve one standard, you have unlocked the desire to increase your standards in other areas. You have no need for alcohol. Alcohol has always been the X-ray glasses of drink. They never worked. They just created the illusion. And in doing so, knowing what you now know, you probably would never have started to drink alcohol. Because I want you to think of the true cost of alcohol. Whatever cost you think it costs financially, when you add on all the other consequences, what it takes from your mental clarity, the impact to your health, the increased probability of future diseases, I want you to calculate the new true cost of alcohol at 100 times whatever the current financial cost is, and ask yourself the question that if the price of a beer cost 100 times the amount, how easy would it be not to drink it? And as you accept that suggestion to be true, you realize that it was simply the convenience and the perceived low cost of a vehicle that was meant to give you fun and relaxation but never truly did, that had you drinking it for so long. But knowing what you now know, you realize that it was a bait and switch, a scam, something that promised so much but delivered so little. And the older you get, the more it takes and the less it gives. And if you continue to drink alcohol, there will come a day where the price needs to be paid. But you can avoid that price that needs to be paid simply by deciding, knowing what you now know, alcohol is no longer necessary, no longer wanted, no longer desirable. And there are so many other ways in which you can meet that need. And if your unconscious mind accepts even just one or two of these powerful suggestions to change your relationship with alcohol, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And then imagine that you leave that comfortable seat, you leave that secret room, you go through that secret door back into your kitchen. And then imagine it's Friday. You've just arrived at your home. And feel a compulsion not to open the fridge, but to have a shower, get changed, drink a large cool glass of water, and realize that alcohol is no longer necessary. And if you accept that to be true, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. and feel a sense of pride and accomplishment and gratitude that you've been able to do what many people have failed to do. And that is, make a decision. A true decision is a decision that cuts off any possibility of going back to the previous behavior. You can crack an egg and fry an egg easily, but you can't take a fried egg and turn it back into an original egg in a shell. I want you to feel like you are now alcohol-free. This is your identity. And life may need to catch up with this identity, but this is who you really are. You don't want alcohol, you don't need alcohol. In fact, from this point forward, you will see alcohol through a new lens. Something that is designed to keep people in a state of low energy, in an unthinking way. Maybe a tool to stop people from the critical thinking that can only happen when that prefrontal cortex is wide awake and active. As you decide to move away from alcohol, you're choosing a future to increase the probability of you being the very best version of you, of more opportunities, more fun, more relaxation. Your future has all the things that alcohol originally promised, but actually was doing the opposite. I want you to imagine that you leave that room, that house, and find yourself back there in a childhood bed or sofa. Climb into that body feeling so relaxed and realize that this has just been a journey inside your imagination to create change. Just ideas within ideas, thoughts within thoughts, dreams within dreams. And it's now time to return to the present with a new way of thinking about alcohol. That you've tried it for a while, and knowing what you now know, it no longer does what you need it to do. So you're going to choose other things. And as you choose those other things, you'll find that they do what alcohol could never do much better, and without taking away from you. Feel like you're returning to the present as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, completely integrate into the present moment. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken feeling resourceful, optimistic, having made a decision that alcohol is your past and there are much better things in your future. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.